Dredd, turn on your transistor radio. It's our favorite program. Hooray!
This is Cursed Earth Radio.
What's up, Dark Judges, Desperados, and dudes in dick-shaped helmets? You're listening to the one and only Cursed Earth Radio, the podcast bringing dread to the dreadless.
Broadcasting outside the walls of Mega City 1 across the Black Atlantic in North America. I'm Cool Johnny Cool.
And this is Heavy Metal Kid, and this is a very special episode because we have an interview with our friend Adam Woodliffe from Warlord Games, who of course are bringing us the new Dredd Miniatures game.
Right on.
So we're about to drock it like it's hot.
Oh my god.
Here's the
this
interview.
This is our first and last interview.
Jesus. And there we go.
I'm glad we got a professional intro.
Keep listening, creeps.
Tell us your name and tell us what it is that you have to do with this game that we're so excited about.
So my name is Adam at Warlord Games, and I'm part of the marketing department. So my main role, a lot of it is to do with the digital content and digital media, social media, that sort of thing. However, a large portion of it is just keeping the excitement with myself especially and others about Dredd, because we're very, very excited about this new Dredd game we have coming out soon.
And I'm very glad that we were able to speak with you, because when we were talking about doing this interview, I was interested in talking to someone from marketing, because being that our podcast focuses on, we call it bringing Dredd to the dreadless, because we're trying to spread the word to people in our area. So I find it very interesting, as you know, we were talking a little bit before the interview, that marketing to the United States may take a different approach. Do you want to sort of explain how you've gone about that?
It's an interesting one, because as we were saying beforehand, we obviously kind of assume that with Dredd being such an iconic figure, you kind of assume that everyone in the sort of comics community and whatnot already kind of knows about him. However, this is from a standpoint of someone that's in the UK, and obviously it is a British comic. So when you speak to people outside of the UK about Dredd, you actually find that not many people know as much as you expected. So it's a really exciting thing, because you can kind of revisit a lot of the sort of upbringing of Dredd and the foundations of it again, to sort of get people excited about it. So what we're kind of doing, because I'm kind of from a comics industry myself before I came to Warlord, so I'm excited about this, because this is very much tailored to the things that I like as well. So we're looking at it in terms of looking at it way from a palatable way for Dredd fans to get into miniatures and tabletop gaming. So there's a potential that people might not know so much about tabletop gaming and the hobby, that sort of thing, and they might just want the miniatures because it's Dredd. Sure. So what we've tried to do is make it so it's comfortable and palatable for Dredd fans that are getting into it. So sometimes it's understandable, especially from my own viewpoint, that, you know, miniatures and that sort of thing can be a bit sort of unsure where to start. So this is very much a fun opportunity, because we can sort of boil it down to the very sort of basics. There's going to be painting tutorials and step-by-step how to play, and obviously the kind of beginner's kind of introduction to wargaming and tabletop miniatures. Sure. And the best part is we can use the platform that is Dredd as a comfortable platform for Dredd fans. So it's fantastic. It's a really exciting, really refreshing way to get this kind of project going again. It's fantastic.
I've kind of tried to keep track of all the various incarnations of Dredd and the Dredd universe games. Some of the ones that happened in the past, there's a really, really old one, and I don't even remember who did it, but it was like Gangs of Mega City 1. And I always felt like that was a miss, because you couldn't play Dredd. And then we had the, I think it was Mongoose, which I know there was like...
That's correct.
Some crossover, but I know that wasn't really headed off by Warlord.
I think many people have tried to create a tabletop gaming system for Dredd with miniatures. And our kind of involvement at one point was with Mongoose. And obviously, you know, it's come down the line now where it's as a whole ours, and we've come to a point where, right, this is kind of like, this is the get-go, this is it, we have to absolutely nail this.
Sure.
So what we did, the first thing we started after having the licenses, we put out Strontium Dog, and we had a nice way of understanding how the mechanics of the gameplay works on a sort of smaller scale, as you would kind of do with, rather than bigger units, you can use smaller individual miniatures against each other. Yeah. And then eventually this was an opportunity now to go, right, let's try it with Dredd. And that's kind of where we are now. So this is very much now complete Warlord. This is our own miniatures using brand new kind of resin that we've come out with. The idea is that it's a lot bigger, there's a lot more detail, so it's a lot easier to paint. The miniatures themselves look stunning as well, just because even at my level I can't really paint much, and I've been able to paint a fair bit on them, so I'm stoked about that, as for one thing.
Awesome.
But the game system itself is fantastic because you can work on so many different levels. You can work on a level that's similar to Strontium Dog, where it's say a couple of judges versus some mutants, so to speak. So it's on a smaller skirmish, quick game, simple, nice and easy. Or you can expand it on where you've got gangs of block gangers. You can do like a Block Mania campaign with just a couple of judges and then loads of gangs, obviously taking out all the judges, which is a lot more fun of a scenario. But the fun part is the judges are very, very strong, we found as well. So we've made sure that they do have a bit of an advantage, of course.
Yeah, I was really excited to see that this game was sort of a takeoff of the Strontium Dog rules, because like the previous one, the Mongoose, everything was really nice looking and there was a lot of options, but I wasn't new to gaming at that point. I had even played, Warhammer and things, but it was overwhelming. Yeah. It almost just kind of put you out there to sort of make up your own game. And I feel like the Strontium Dog system and what it looks like is going into this Dredd game it's a little bit more guided, a little bit more structured. So hopefully you'll be bringing in those Dredd fans, like you said, people who may not be wargamers but are Dredd fans.
So we've the fun part about it has been, obviously we kind of adapted from the designing, obviously the gaming design team, Gav Thorpe, Roger Garish and Andy Chambers. They've played on original ideas that we've had from the Strontium Dog. There's kind of like an involvement from Warlord's overall kind of style of play, where it's almost there is no turn decision of who goes first. It's like the luck of the draw. I don't know if you know what I mean, right. Where you pull out the chip which says whose go it is. So it expands on that excitement of who's going to go next. You have to really plan out what you're going to do. And as we did with Strontium Dog, it worked really well. And now we're able to literally take all that from Strontium Dog gameplay and inject that into Judge Dredd. So what we did we've just recently done London Comic Con MCM, which was huge. And so we thought it was an opportunity to sort of demo the very fundamentals of the game for Dredd. But what we decided to do is cross-platform it with Strontium Dog. So it's an opportunity for those with Strontium that know Strontium Dog gameplay already to adapt both games into one separate thing. We did a hot dog run on the Cursed Earth with a rookie judge and a street judge against a couple of mutants from Strontium Dog, and it worked really well. Really nice, easy, simple play. I think a couple of people described a lot of it as a bowl of pretzels and a couple of beers with the mates to play a couple of Dredd games. So yeah, it's very much the idea we want to go through. We want to just make it so you can have as many games as possible in just under a couple of hours.
That's great. Yeah, hearing that the two cross over, that was going to be my next question. I think a lot of people are interested in that, so that's fantastic. And with you mentioned the designers, Andy Chambers, Roger Garish, and Gav Thorpe. Those individuals, at least for me, I recognize Andy Chambers and Gav Thorpe as having that, Warhammer Games Workshop sort of pedigree in their past too.
Yeah.
So
we've the big names.
Yeah, right. So that's exciting too, because we, as gamers, because I'm also a miniatures gamer and stuff. It's nice to know that you guys went to the extra level of really bringing in people who've worked on this stuff and know how to present a Dredd game rather than just throwing the license out there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it wouldn't feel right if we didn't return it back to the foundations of where it all started from. And this is the thing. I think we had this conversation we've been, I mean, myself especially, we've been in really good conversations with Rebellion, and they've been a massive support towards helping us out as well and getting the word out there. And I think the one thing that we agreed on with Rebellion was there's a few board games out there for Judge Dredd or miniatures, etc. And I think the idea is now kind of filter what's what and then kind of try and diminish the whole convolution of everything where people might not know what's what, etc. So this was an opportunity for us to go back to what we had with Strontium Dog. This is the same creative team. This is what you're going to get. This is a miniatures board game, tabletop game. And it's just an opportunity for us to kind of, like you say, just keep it within what we had already rather than move on to something completely different. And again, we just wanted to diminish any confusion, I guess, the best way to put it.
Sure.
Especially, like I say, if you're not from the perspective of a tabletop gamer or a miniature collector, you're just a Dredd fan, and you just want to get Dredd stuff, which for me I'm quite similar to that, and I kind of had to put myself in that sort of shoes when I was in the comics industry, and that's the direction we've gone for it. So having them guys back on board has just been amazing. And Roger kind of did a lot of stuff with the Doctor Who game that we had before as well. So it's nice. It's kind of like part of Warlord is to keep it. It is part of the kind of the family of Warlord, I guess, the best way to put it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, people tend to find a game designer or a game company, and if they like one of their games, they kind of say, well, this game was good, so I'm going to stick with that company. And if you can keep the integrity of your product like that, it seems like that's something you guys are really concerned with. So that's great. People know that it's a Warlord Games product.
Yeah.
So what sort of leniency did you have with choosing the characters and factions for this game?
So there was an interesting conversation with Rebellion at one point of who they preferred not to be in it, which was quite interesting. I might get to that at some point. However, what we decided to do was, rather than just throw out all the sort of classics, we wanted to build, build the bridge between the two generations, I guess, of the Dredd storyline and his kind of life, I guess. So we obviously threw a large portion of the original characters, Judge Death, Mean Machine, and obviously just stuff that people would recognize just in terms of just from familiarity. But we also decided to bring in a lot of newer characters. So Nero Narcos was one, obviously, from Day of Chaos that we've put in there. And it's just an opportunity for us to completely mix, rather than, like I say, you just think of one sort of timeline of Dredd. This is span across a lot of major storylines for Judge Dredd. So what we are going to be doing, we will be using newer characters as well as older. So there is a pack where you can get Arch Nemesis of Dredd. And like I say, you'll get Death, Mean Machine, Judge Grice is one of them, and Nero Narcos as well. The only, I think we put it to Rebellion. We said, look, this is kind of a team thing, I guess. This is as much involvement with you guys as well. What would you like to see? And I think it was a bit quiet for a bit. We were all kind of like, God, who do we want in it? There were so many possibilities. I think I'd like to see Judge Pin. That would be quite cool, especially since since the storyline that we've just had, especially. I know that there might be a bit of backlash, but it'd be quite cool to see. Is it Judge Whisper? Is it just Whisper, the one from the Torture Garden? Just because we've been in, we've had a lot of feedback as well from a few artists. One of them being Nick Percival, so it's quite cool that we get to do that kind of nod to that. I think the only that it's going to be tricky because I don't know if we'll have Walter the robot. I don't know. I don't know how many. There's going to be a divide of fans for that one for sure. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, brilliant, that's fine," and then a lot of people are like, "Oh, I really like Walter." So I don't know if that's one we're allowed to do or not, but that will be quite fun.
I think it would work because half of the audience loves Walter and the other half wants to kill him. So they could live out their fantasy either way.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I said. I think at least it gives you a reason to be competitive against whoever you're playing. I mean, overall, I think we so long as we do Judge Fish, I'm fine. I mean, I'm really intrigued how we're going to do it, but Judge Fish would be fantastic, especially the new kind of resin that we have and stuff. So that'd be fun to see how we're going to paint that one up. But it'll be a fun day for studio to paint up as well. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. There's a lot of characters that I think those like deeper cuts. A lot of the real, Dredd fans will really appreciate that stuff, and it also drives people to check it out. Like one thing I noticed on your website is that you also offer some 2000 AD like graphic novels, and I thought that was brilliant because it's going to give people essentially it's a supplement, for the game. If you read that, it enhances the game totally.
Because it was kind of like it was a chance to kind of go to another side of our sort of customer base, I guess, is just if people might think, I'm not really too savvy on Dredd, I don't know too much, but it's coming out, maybe this is an opportunity to pick up a couple of graphic novels from Warlord. So it's it was just an opportunity to kind of, like you say, build the scenarios that people might want to try out and supplements, but also it's just another opportunity for bringing in maybe some miniature fans or tabletop gamers that might not know much about Dredd. So it's really about bridging that gap and just supporting it from different angles, really. We're going to try and do scenarios based on actual storylines and then see how they fully play out. So if you've got the League of Fatties, obviously that was an opportunity to see, well, what would have actually happened in terms of our rule book, etc., and our gameplay, and then see where that goes. And it actually find out Dredd's been eaten or something like that instead.
And that was the League of Fatties for me was the big tipping point where I was like, I have to order now. I was hoping and praying for the League of Fatties to show up, and they did. They look great.
100%. I mean, the thing that will throw you off is that the plastic's so light. And it really upset me when I picked up one of the studio miniatures and it wasn't heavy, and I was thinking this is such a throw off because I was expecting it to weigh a ton. But I think this is it. I mean, we definitely want to cover as much as possible, but we want to make sure that we're not just spewing out every left, right, and centre with characters. We want to concentrate in a nice, steady way where the people aren't just being thrown everything in their face. We want to make sure that one wave is looked after and and supported fully in terms of just rules alone, etc., and gameplay, and if it works then we move on to separate waves introducing more characters. And then the possibility is where we expand on different licenses with 2000 AD. I'd love to see a Rogue Trooper series where we kind of adapt our bolt action series, where it's a lot more based on units and less of a quick skirmish kind of games. It's a bit more of a bigger battlefield, etc. So it's very much that there's so much possibility and opportunity. We do want to cover it. We just want to get it spot on, and I think it's only fair on the Dredd fans as well to do it this way as well.
It certainly feels like this game in particular has, like, you guys are giving it the deluxe treatment, like with that rule book, that special edition, book of law, and just the even the artwork on the packaging, all of that stuff. It definitely reads as if you guys are trying your best to give it the treatment it deserves.
It's we've had I've literally had the physical copy of the rule book in today. I've actually had a look through it today, it's a nice hefty book. It's a decent, and a large portion of the book, as Roger Garish has labelled it, is just a lot of fluff for the fans, which is what is expected. It's a lot of images and breakdowns and bios on characters and story plots. So you're not just getting a gameplay book of just stats. You're getting storyline and just opportunities to develop more scenarios, with all the tools that we provided. But like I say, you're not just buying a rule book, you're buying almost like I guess, like an encyclopedia in a way of the world of Judge Dredd. Because, like I say, it's a nice, thick, hefty book. Because the Strontium Dog's probably half of that, and this is, like I say, this is double of what we've already put out. So, yeah, it's a nice book.
One of the things I thought was cool that you did with Strontium Dog was the little like build a mutie pack. Do you think we'll eventually do something like that with this system, like build a fatty or build a pug or whatever?
Yeah, it's no, that's, I mean, this is it. Like, it's because we're realizing, like I say, with what works with Strontium Dog, I can't see anything not working with Dredd, if that makes sense. Just because they're so cross-compatible, it would only make sense to see what worked from that and then bring it into Dredd. But they're so adaptable to one another. That's the beauty of it. So hopefully, it'd be nice to, definitely.
I picked up the War Games Illustrated, and they did a really nice job of just kind of covering everything. Like, I feel like it's the best way for people to understand.
It's a really good way.
But something I didn't even realize was Warlord, and I mentioned it on an episode of our podcast, is as we were going through, I saw an ad for Black Seas, and I told my host, I was like, yeah, look at this. We've got to play this. And he's like, yeah. Then I find out this is from Warlord too. So if you want to just cover a couple of the other, games that Warlord has to offer, because I think a lot of our audience contains gamers as well. So
sure, yeah. So as mentioned, Black Seas is our newest project, which is by the mastermind of Gabriel. We call him Admiral Gabriel. He's a very passionate man about Napoleonic and Age of Sail. So it's an adaptation, so to speak, of our current series, which is called Black Powder, which is a little bit, like you say, like a sort of a 40k or Warhammer-esque, more figurine-based units against one another. And it's an adaptation of that, where it's naval battles. And I don't know if you've seen the ships, but just the level of detail on them alone is just stunning. That's kind of like our Age of Sail one, which has just come out, which is sold out, which we're absolutely stoked on as well. Other ones we've got is Bolt Action, which is kind of like our bread and butter. It's the Second World War tabletop gaming system, which we've probably been, I think it's kind of like our most popular. It kind of draws a lot of people in, just because obviously it's a nice crossover with Second World War models, but then you can adapt it with a tabletop gameplay. And I think for my personal favorite is Conflict 47, which is, I don't know if you've seen that one. That's like it's a Second World War base, but it's called Weird World War, where it's more kind of like almost like a what if or a science fiction equivalent of Second World War. So you got Sherman tanks with Tesla cannons on top of them. A lot of the German factions will have supernatural units, and obviously the British have got sort of, animatronic and robots that will fight for their units. There's a lot of, I think what we try to do is cover so many historical time periods as possible, but we like to make sure it's right. We want to make sure it's done properly. So we are making our way through them. We do get asked a lot of questions on what's next, but I think a large portion of the time it's just making sure everything that we have at the moment's spot on.
Awesome. I've not seen the last one. I'll have to look into that, because
Conflict 47. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's it's definitely, it's cool because there's a lot of sort of mecha kind of robots that we've thrown in as well. So it's cool to see them in like a kind of like a Second World War theme, but obviously on a grander scale. So it's definitely, and it applies completely to the Bolt Action gameplay rules. So you can literally just throw in straight away and you're good to go. Yeah.
And I can definitely tell you that Bolt Action has managed to really break through here, and I live in the most rural and one of the poorest states, so it's very hard to even come across a Warhammer store, but my local shop has a huge selection of Bolt Action, so that's good news.
Amazing. Oh, fantastic. I'm stoked to hear that.
I'm hoping that carries over to Black Seas, to Dredd, and we start seeing more over there. So
for sure. Well, we're definitely so it's definitely we have a few projects set up where we're making sure things are a lot more accessible in the States. Obviously, this is we realise the large proportion of the demographic is in the States, so it is a big push. Ironically, part of the kind of realization for how we move more product into America was through Dredd, because we realized, well, this is going to be a distributor thing where we need to figure out how we get Dredd into different stores, etc., that might not just be sort of model shops, comic shops as well. So it's definitely been an eye-opener for us to understand how else we can get product out there and how we can communicate to engage with people as well, for sure. So yeah.
And let me ask you this question too, from we really believe that if you want something to continue, you have to support it. And so my co-host and I, we pre-ordered immediately because we were like, we want to see more of this stuff. We want to support it. But awesome. For someone, here in the United States, is it more beneficial to, as in terms of us getting more, that we go to our local shop and purchase something from the Dredd Miniatures game, or is it something where it would benefit more to go to your website?
Good question. I guess, I think if anything, it's whatever's beneficial for you, really. Okay. We just want people to play Dredd and anything else. But yeah, it's overall, it's definitely, we just want people to enjoy what we put out, however accessible it is, however way they can get, pick up their stuff. I think sometimes a large portion of it is better in store because you're able to have a demo and you're obviously able to see how it works. I know that a large portion of, part of the industry is part of that immersion, part of the experience, because, obviously if you go into like most model shops, etc., and they are demoing games, it is how you kind of understand the game a bit better. That's a large portion of why we do as many conventions, etc., as possible. It's just so we can say, look, this is the tangible aspect of the game. So rather than just seeing it on YouTube videos, they are able to engage with it a lot better. So I guess it's whatever's, however easy for you guys it is, the better. We just want people just to have fun and enjoy it, because I think overall it is the foundations of Warlord are based on, we just want people to have fun. We've had a few people say, like, look, I've already got some miniatures of Dredd, can I use it? And we are 100%, of course. Like, we just want you to do whatever you come up with, enjoy it and play it, and let us know how it works, what doesn't work, etc., because that's all it's about. There's no strict rules on anything. If you feel like you might want to change stuff, go for it. It's all about being accessible and giving people that platform to have fun with our stuff, really, in a nutshell.
Well, I definitely feel like you guys have done everything you can to give this game, a good push. It feels like there's more momentum with the character than there has been since I've been a fan. We've got 4 very different, Dredd and 2000 AD themed games that have been released this year, and they all kind of cover a different aspect. One's a sort of a single player game. There's a cooperative card game, and then with the 2000 AD Helter Skelter, it was kind of a quick and easy. And then for people who want to really dig in, there's this, and this is kind of for us the thing that we're really, really excited about. So
I'm glad to hear.
When is the release date again for this game specifically?
So we're coming up to it very, 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 very soon. You're looking quite literally towards the end of November, if not a little bit sooner, because we like to just try and get out there and just be like, right, we're good to go, let's go. I think today, literally, you are now able to pre-order single units and miniatures now as well. So cool. You don't have to have any, there's no bundle options only. There's now the ability to just buy and pick and choose. So you were saying if there was just fatties, you can now just buy a pack of 3 fatties. That is good to go. And like I say, that's all pre-order. So that will hopefully by the end of November. It's, I think, like I say, we're having like bits and bobs coming in and whatnot. So yeah, so it's very much exciting time. Every day there's something new in the office for me to go, oh, that's nice.
So exciting.
I have to remember what I have to do. Well, it has been a very exciting opportunity. It's incredible. And like I say, it's been fun to reconnect with the comics and Dredd community, just because I've come from that side of the industry. And get that going again, and cite as much as I can in terms of referring to different stories and characters. And working Rebellion's been fantastic. They've really helped us out here and really helped push the miniatures, just because, again, they're just as big a fans as we are. And I think, it's the engagement with the community has been just fantastic. And we're a fun bunch, Dredd fans, that's for sure.
When we started this podcast, we were really surprised because of all the negativity that tends to just be out there on the internet. But since we've started, and we're clearly just kind of idiots that don't really know what we're doing, but we've had nothing but wonderful interactions with people, especially people on your side of the pond. Like, we've just met so many awesome people, and everyone's like real supportive, and they're, it's just been nice to discover that this fan base that was, before we branched out and started doing our podcast, it was like there's like three of us, but everyone we've met has been really super cool, and it's good. I think there is a good fan base there. So
and I think this is the thing. Like, going forward, it's going to be this is just the beginning, and obviously it's only going to. There's nothing from this is going to phase out or anything. This is just a very start that things are going to get even louder and a lot more exciting and involved once we start getting even more ideas out there and start listening to other people of what else we can do, and characters, and start when the mega city builds, I guess the best way to put it, that's going to get a lot more exciting. So
well, we've already mentioned Judge Pin, so that's incredibly exciting. That tells me that you're on the right track.
It's definitely one I keep thinking is going to be fantastic. I mean, it's from what we already kind of do here. There's always a need for a greater villain and a more evil villain on the tabletop. So I can only imagine we'll have a Judge Pin. It'd be crazy not to. Is there anyone you would like to see on it though?
We are big fans of the Oz storyline. So like the Jedi. We're big fans of like Judge Kraken, and in my wildest dreams, I imagine there's a Necropolis pack that includes the Sisters of Death, and all of that stuff.
Now you're talking my language. 100%. Yeah. See, that's what I mean. It's just, we want to be really creative with it. It's just, I think the thing is as well, it's very easy to get excited. And like, we're all huge Dredd fans here. So when you're trying to put your shoes back into like hang on a minute, we've got to be realistic setting, and not just be like, let's make this. It's really like, it's quite tricky, but it's so exciting and it's so fun. And I'm glad that, the Dredd fans are enjoying it, because, it's for them,
And one final thing, since our aim is to bring Dredd to the Dreadless here in the cursed earth of the United States, is there a specific Dredd story, a specific prog, something where you would direct somebody to start reading, maybe something that's non-traditional? I know normally we suggest America and some of the Dark Judges, but is there like a hidden gem that is your favorite that you would like to point someone towards?
I don't know. I don't know, because some could say it is and some could say it isn't. I always direct people to Dark Justice, the Greg Staples and John Wagner story, just because it's a nice, it's a very sort of easy and simple kind of straightforward story that just uses all the characters in their best element.
And the artwork is beautiful.
And it's Greg Staples. And he's another chap that's been amazing. He's actually we've been in contact with him a large portion of this, so he's absolutely excited about it. And to credit him, his Dredd is on the face of most of our images. So yeah, so he is kind of like the reason why I would say Dark Justice is the best way to go with it, just because, you know, it's a fantastic story. It's a bloodbath, and you get to see the Dark Judges being the Dark Judges. Like, what better villain do you want? So yeah, that would be my go-to. So I think that would, if you see in a couple of YouTube videos here and there, there's a Warlord video of I was doing the scenario of Dark Justice. That might be because of this conversation.
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, it's got to be done. I'm making sure. Yeah.
So we can look forward to Warlord video, like tutorials and like lots of uploads. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. The idea, because this was kind of like the thing that we spoke to with Rebellion, is they said that, look, we really want to help and we're on a push, you know, and we want to make sure that there's supplements and media and accessibility for the fans. It's only fair. And I was thinking exactly the same thing, because like I said, this is going to be open for Dredd fans, and they're going to want to play this and might need, you know, introductions and stuff. Most of them probably not, but like I said, I've come from the comics industry, so I kind of get that. I used to just buy anything Dredd, and that was just a given. So if there's something like a platform for me that's comfortable to understand and get into it in a nice way, then this is the best time for it. So yeah, the idea is we're in talks with a lot of people that will be able to help us with tutorial videos that will kind of be a level that we want them to be, which is fantastic. So yeah, it's definitely exciting times, very refreshing times at Warlord, I guess, the best way to put it.
Couldn't be more excited, and so we will be following every step of the way. If there's anything we can do to help you promote in the future, even if it's just sharing your stuff to our page, we also are invested in seeing this game continue, because it's what we've been hoping for. So
fantastic. No, I'm really happy to hear it. It is one of them things where we understand that this is when you're dealing with a license, it is the fan base as well that you have to take on board. You have to listen to what they're saying, otherwise there's no point doing it. So any feedback is always good feedback, I guess, is the best way to put it. So yeah, we definitely do listen. We definitely try our best to give the Dredd fans what they want, because we're Dredd fans as well. It's very Dredd orientated at Warlord, I can tell you that for sure.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, we will hopefully be seeing much more from Warlord Games, Dredd and beyond. And
for sure.
Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Anytime. Happy to come back and report how it's all going, and let you know that I've maybe not got 10 years in the ISO cubes or anything like that. I'm still going strong.
Okay, let's do that then. Yes,
for sure. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely fine. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam. We will be hearing from you again, hopefully.
Yeah, fantastic. Cheers. Thank you very much, buddy.
All right. We're so grateful to Warlord Games and Adam Woodliffe. Such a nice guy and enthusiastic. Looks like some amazing things are coming.
Yeah, I love that everybody involved that we've had and any interaction with at any level has been enthusiastic about Dredd.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
I finally feel like the license Dredd is in good hands with Warlord Games for certain, but with us, with all these games that have been coming out.
There's so much good Dredd and 2000 AD content coming out right now. It's a really, really good time to be a fan.
It's not the dark ages when Fleetway quality was all we had.
Hey, guess what? I'm fucking leaving. Fuck you. I'm done.
So, before Johnny rolls off, it's been a rough week for you with Dredd talking shit on Walter and all.
We're not going to go there.
So, if you're interested, go check out the Warlord Games website.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have videos of us playing.
Hopefully playing videos, painting videos.
You painting.
I want to do so much.
You're going to have the best fatties in the world.
We'll see. So, yeah, keep an eye out on our page. Keep an eye out on the Warlords Games page, because they're also doing the tutorials. They're doing painting tips, all kinds of stuff. We're just going to do some of that stuff, too.
They are enthusiastic about the product. They are invested, and they've done a great job. So,
and we're not being paid to say any of this.
Nope.
As a matter of fact, we paid to order the game ourselves.
Yes.
So, just in case you were wondering.
We're not shilling.
No, we're just excited.
And we're enthusiastic that we've got an awesome game coming up.
Yeah. All right. This is Heavy Metal Kid.
Cool Johnny Cool.
And this is
Cursed Earth Radio.
Keep listening, creeps.